nerdlings. If you're new here, my name is Nikki. Welcome to my channel where we get nerdy. Today I'm going to be talking about something that I normally don't talk about, and definitely this is going to be a type of video I don't normally do. And it's going to be an unapologetic strong opinion piece. And that is, smut does not belong in YA books. So, first, YA is defined as books written for individuals 12 to 18. Granted, older or younger can read them, but it is marketed for the ages 12 to 18. And smut, if you are not familiar with the term, is erotica. It is the type of stories one would read in Playboy or Hustler type magazines. Okay? So we're at some type of understanding. I do not believe that these type of scenes should be in books written for the ages 12 to 18. 1. There is no 12-year-old that is prepared for that type of mature content that an 18-year-old is prepared for. 2. The whole argument of, well, they'll just read it anyway. Or, there's worse things in music. There's worse things on TV. I understand that. However, working as a bookseller at Barnes & Noble in the past, there was many a times where parents would pick up certain books. I don't want to call anyone out, but I'm just going to use an example of like ACOTAR or The Neon Gods by Katie Roberts, those type of books, and be handing them to their 14-year-old. Approximation. I taught 7th grade science, so I'm saying like approximately my student age. And these are the type of children that they saw it on Book Talk, so they want to read it. But the parents buy it not realizing the content. You also have I don't know the technical name of the series, but the one that Katie Roberts does with all of the villains from Disney. Okay, we're talking very erotic books that even as a 32-year-old grown woman I don't read, because just no, it's not my cup of tea. No child between the ages of 12 to 18 should be reading those without the parents' full understanding of the context of that book. And I get that those are not YA, but I'm just saying there's many a times where parents will pick up a book for their child and let them just, if they're reading, they're reading. Yes, I get that. You want your child to be well read. You want them to read. However, to what expense? There are books that are marketed as YA that have these type of mature content. You have no clue how many times I have been in a library or a bookstore and ACOTAR is in YA. Or I have even seen Empire of the Vampire in YA. And I'm going to tell you right now, Empire of the Vampire is far from YA. And Jay Kristoff even put that in his review, that it is not YA, because bookstores automatically just put all of his books together. And that's not okay. And I think that there also needs to be a delineation. Everyone will say, well, if you don't want that, not everyone, but I have run into occurrences where, well, it's no different than sex ed. It's a hell of a lot different from sex ed. As somebody that has taught sex ed to 7 through 12 students, grade, that's US grade. So we're talking, I want to say 13 to 18. Like, we're talking the the YA age gap. I have taught sex ed to that age gap, right? And no, it is not the same. Learning about a bodily anatomy and bodily functions is far different from hearing about sexual acts in a very, very erotic nature. So we need to be more aware of the books we are handing to children. I get that some parents are totally fine with that, and I understand that. But for the mass of people that they aren't well read, like, there's parents, I know my parents would be considered this, that if I just said, I want to read this book, they'd say, okay. There's a reason I read A Child Called It in the 5th grade. They had no clue what it was about. Should I have read that in the 5th grade? Probably not. But I did. And yes, it's not a sexual book, it's an abuse book. But if I had gone to my parents and asked to read something like ACOTAR, or I know Kingdom of the Wicked has that series. I haven't read it, but from my understanding, there is some erotic scenes. I don't know how extensive they are or how graphic, but I also know there's very graphic things in YA that it shouldn't be there. It's not age appropriate. And if a child goes to their parents that have no clue what these books are about and the parents just buy them, we need to be better. And this is probably just going to be a huge rant, and I'm sorry, but it's just how I feel. And I needed to get this off my chest because I saw a post on Instagram that discussed it, and she discussed it, I don't know pronouns, they discussed it really well. I'll link it down below. And then we also need to realize that the people that are writing these YA books are not YA individuals, right? We are talking about individuals in their 20s, 30s, maybe older, writing books about teens in the ages of 12 to 18 having sexual intercourse. And that just gives me the ick. I don't know about you, but that gives me ick vibes. And I think we also need to be aware of that. Like, I'm not saying we have to cancel all these authors and ban all these books. I'm just saying that maybe there should be a gap in where publishers take books that are erotic, smutty, whatever, that read gently, I wouldn't say easy, but read gently and consumable like YA, right? We'll take those books and put them in a new category and call it new adult or something, because they're not quite as complicated and, you know, I don't want to say undigestible, but intricate as adult, but they're a little too adult for YA. We need to have a new adult. I don't care. I will argue that till I am blue in the face. But that's just how I feel. And I didn't realize that this was going to be almost a 10-minute rant about how smut should not be in YA. And it's probably rambly, and it probably doesn't make a whole bunch of sense. But that's just, I needed to get my feelings out. So, let me know in the comments down below how you feel about this. Also, like the video if you did, hit the subscribe button if you want to. Let's continue this type of conversation. Or if there's any other controversial topics you would like my opinion on, comment down below. I'll see what I can do. But until next time, remember, you are loved and you are valid.